What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up?
What's up? Sorry.
Georgie, I was on. What happened, George?
There we go.
What's going on out there? Out there.
Hello.
Brand new Bass Pro Shop hat.
Yes. Yeah,
He's
my mini pearl.
Yeah, he's Mini Pearl right there. That's Mini Pearl.
That's some mini pearl stuff right there.
Welcome to Mad G Talking Smack. Tonight, we have my co-host Georgie and the awesome Michael. What's up, Michael?
What's up?
From Southern Fried Spirit Paranormal. Oh, man, I still love that name. I was talking about it backstage. I was like, man, that's a cool name.
It is a cool name.
So what does Southern Fried Spirit taste like?
Ooh. Chicken fried steak?
Tastes like chicken.
Yeah. Chicken. I'm gonna share this out real quick. Send this to our Carla girl.
Sorry, you caught me eating an orange, but
What you eating?
That's better than what you could be eating.
I reckon.
So how you been, Michael? You been all right?
I have. I just came off of investigating Galveston and taking a little vacation.
Oh, cool. So not only did you investigate, you just had some rest and relaxation time.
I did. I took a week cruise.
Oh, whoa. How was it? Did you love it?
Yeah, it was fun. It was my first time on the ship line, and so it was really cool.
Hell yes.
Well, Maddie just took a cruise as well.
Where did you go?
We went from Galveston to Costa Maya and Cozumel and back to Galveston.
Cozumel. That's where I went. I went to Cozumel.
Yeah, Cozumel was cool.
It was kind of small than I expected, but man, those that water, I just couldn't believe my eyes. When we got out of Galveston, you get further out, go to sleep, wake up, and it's like, oh my God, it's blue. I've never seen that. It looked like an ocean spray bottle. I was like, whoa. I felt like I was gonna go rub my eyes because I couldn't believe it. It was just and I have so many pictures and they're all of the water.
Yep.
I just couldn't. What's up, Jamie Lynn? What's going on? Yo.
You'd love Costa Maya because the water there was like 2 or 3 different shades of blue.
Oh my God.
I love in the Caribbean when it does that.
Oh my God. What's up, Yvette? Like I said, I couldn't believe it. But I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah.
I'm really glad.
I have never been on a cruise.
I'm trying to get him to go.
You need to go.
Well, after what happened to Gilligan and all them people, I don't know.
That was a 3-hour tour. That wasn't a cruise.
I'm just saying. I would go, but I wouldn't see much because I would spend most of my time on the onboard casino because I like that stuff, sir.
Yeah, they have them. Hey,
Adam. Don't shake your head at me, Maddie. Adam, what up? Did you see the way Maddie was shaking her head at me? Like,
no, sir. No, sir.
The casino.
You could be in the casino, but I'm gonna be on deck.
I mean, I walk out and I look and I'll be like, "Mommy, okay, this is nice, but I'm going back to the casino."
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll only see him come up when it's food time.
Yeah. Man, that was craziness. That was craziness. Did you enjoy the food?
I did. So the fun thing is I have sailed many times with Holland America, their cruise line,
Hey,
and
Kathy.
so this was my first time on a Royal Caribbean ship,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I took pictures of the promenade because it looks like a street, and I was like telling everybody, and I was with my girlfriend, and she's like, "Why are you like jaw dropped in awe?" And I'm like, "You have no idea. I have never seen a promenade like this on a cruise ship."
That's cool. I also went Royal, and we went during it wasn't Christmas Day, but it was a little before Christmas, and it was all dressed up in Christmas, and I was wondering,
Oh
like,
yeah,
are they going to do it, or is it going to be if you sailing that time, on Christmas time? And no, it was decked out. I was like, yes, this is amazing.
it
So I
starts.
really I
All of
enjoyed it.
December is decked out for Christmas.
Right. Right. So yes. What's up, Carla?
Hey,
I had a blast.
she finally got in.
Carla.
So now we can't talk about her because now she's in the chat room.
That's funny.
So tell us, you went on this investigation.
So
Well,
I went to Galveston to do I think it was Ghost of Galveston event with the Kling brothers. And we were at Seawolf Park. And so we got to go aboard the USS Stewart, which was a destroyer, and the USS Kavala, which is a submarine.
Uh-oh.
And so the funny thing is we get there and they're doing the history, and we find out the USS Stewart was one of the ships that escorted Roosevelt across the Atlantic to meet Churchill and the rest of them. And so we were like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then she goes, and then there's the Kavala, who on her maiden voyage sank one of the Japanese aircraft carriers that bombed Pearl Harbor. I was like, that's one hell of a maiden voyage.
yeah,
And when you're leaving when you're leaving Galveston to go out to towards Cozumel, did you see that sunken ship that was out there?
Yes, and I was reading Seawolf Park's deal, and I believe it was a tanker that they sank there. But they say that there's a third ship there you can only see the tip of it in the water.
Wow. I was just in shock. I was all like, am I seeing, again, like I did with the water, am I seeing what, or am I making it in my head that that's what I'm seeing? Is it just
Right.
a rock or just a, old something else?
Right. I was looking at it and said, yeah, there's 3 ships there. I was like, I only saw 2. And then I remembered the shipwreck off of the water that you can't even get to it. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, there's 3 ships there.
That's cool, man. That's cool that you did all that little back research kind of thing.
Yeah. So the fun thing is doing the Stewart, we got to walk around the main deck and the lower level deck. They wouldn't let us go higher up because 1, it's dark, and 2, it's a little rusty, so don't
Yeah,
want people
safety.
getting hurt.
yeah.
And we had to stay on the side of the ship that was landlocked. The other side was in the water, and they were like, yeah, we don't want anyone falling in the water, so stay on this side.
You're all, okay.
Common sense, yeah. I get you.
But when we went on the Kavala, we were like shocked how small those hatches are. You know how you see them in the movies swinging through? You have to do that to get through. It is like so small.
Man, I hear you.
Yeah. There was one part where they tell you don't push any of the buttons because the Coast Guard gets mad because some of them still are active. And I'm squeezing between a rail and a bulkhead about this wide. And I'm sitting there, and I'm with Dan LaFave from Ballinger. They were down there too. And he and I looked at each other and go, I think we're about to become part of the exhibit. We were like breathing in as much as we could, trying to get
Oh no! Become part of the exhibit.
through. We're like, we're stuck.
That's funny.
No, Michael.
It was that close. It was like, man, that was like, ooh, did not want to go back through the other way. We're like, please tell me there's an exit on this side.
That's funny, man. That's funny. If it's anything like the Lexington, man, I mean that's I've the stairways. I tell people, before you investigate the Lexington or anything like that, you need to do a lot of stairs, because they're at such an angle, and it's such an enclosed area, and they're so, like, you can't even see them. I don't know if it's just because I got a big belly or what, but I couldn't see them, man. And you're even if you walk one step at a time, you kind of just have to feel for it, because the angle is so intense. Did
It
y'all
is.
experience that? Was
We
that what that was
did,
like?
especially on the Stewart. The Stewart, they had a couple of stairwells to go down, and it was like you had to lean back and take them one step at a time because, yeah, it was kind of hard to see those steps sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, man. And unless you've been, you don't know. You don't know unless you've been.
I
So
would like to. I would
I,
like to go.
I got a question, man. When they were telling you the story, I need to ask you this question. When they were telling you the story, and they told you they on a maiden voyage they sunk one of the battleships. Well, was it one of the battleships or one of the aircraft carriers that was that
Aircraft carrier.
aircraft carriers that had the aircraft, that went to Hawaii, to Pearl Harbor. Did you did you do your hero stance? Almost like you were wearing a cape, like kind of like listening to American Badass. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, American Badass. Like, yeah, that's my country, fools. That's my country.
Oh God!
Actually, honestly, no. But we all were like, when they told us that, we were all like, yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's
We didn't take a stance, but we were like, yeah.
yeah. I mean, you kind of like looked at the other people. Like, of course, guys, you look at the other guys, you're like,
Mhm.
You know, what was funny for me is I was like, man, if that's your maiden voyage, where do you go from there? It's like
right,
you went out on such a high note, getting presidential honors and everything. It's like
right,
that wasn't even your real like cruise. You haven't even started patrol yet. That was like your pre-patrol cruise.
right, and you do this phenomenal thing. You can't. I mean, dude, I would stand there and be like, I would tell the ghost, man, y'all fucking rock, dude.
Oh, we did.
Y'all rock this bitch, man.
We were telling all the officers and soldiers, spirits, sailors. We were like, man, thank you for what you did. Thank you so much. We were like, so much respect. And I made a video for my YouTube channel of it that has the lives that I was doing and videos that I took and some photos. But I was like, in the very beginning of it, I said, this is to honor these two ships so that we do not forget what history they did. And before I get to like the video of the Stewart where I'm like showing on deck and we're investigating, I'm like, so here's her service record. Here's what her stats were. And then I did the same thing for the Kavala, and I was like, yeah, and here's some photos, old photos of them. Here's, the photos of what they look like today.
Right.
And then I was like, y'all need to go check out Seawolf Park.
That sounds amazing. I've never been on either ship. And I mean, that would be cool just to investigate. Did you do like EVPs, the whole shebang?
We were doing EVP work, and we were kind of getting a few responses, but it was like you'd be hearing it, but it was so soft. You're like, did they? And sometimes we were like, yes, they definitely responded. And then there were other times where we would hear something, and I was like, I think that was so and so moving, actually. And it was like, oh man,
Yeah.
people are constantly moving around. It's like, guys, gotta stay still.
You see, and that's my trouble on an investigation because I have a hard time sitting still, standing still, you know? So I'm constantly moving and stuff, and I'll have to like sit down, and I'll tell whoever I'm investigating with, I'm gonna sit down, I'm not being lazy. It's easier for me to stay quiet because that will happen. Like you said, Michael, you know, you'll catch my backpack or my arms or my pant, you know, you'll catch something, and sometimes it does sound like or like, you know, it sounds like look, they're telling us to be quiet. No.
Yeah, so there actually the funny thing is there's a lot of me on the recordings going, yeah, that's so and so moving, or that's so and so talking, that's so, and I'm like, come on, pay attention here.
Right.
And if like I moved, I was like, oh, that was me shifting position. It's like I was like, I hate to do it, but I had to do it.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I'm the same way, Maddie. I mean, I you know me. I mean, I have to like I get very like I can't stand still. It's hard for me to stand still. I get very jittery. So I'm like you. It's like if I'm sitting down, I'm good.
Right.
But if I'm not, I got to be rocking back and forth, and I notice I do that a little bit. Yeah, shifting, or listening to American Badass by Kid Rock. Or something.
What's up, Jimmy?
I'm actually the opposite. I will, if I'm sitting down, I'm like, I got to start moving my legs because one's getting tired. And so I'm shifting feet constantly. And it's like, yeah, I'm more noisy sitting down than I am standing.
But we've even had times where you can hear my stomach growling. So I've learned, you know, I have to eat a little something before I go because, you know, it's been like, did you hear me? It's a growl.
Yeah. And my favorite is when you hear something, you're like, is that your stomach growling to someone? You're like, I feel bad asking this and putting you on the spot, but it's like, I heard the sound from your direction. So if it wasn't you, who was it and where did it come from?
Oh, yeah. But I mean, you have to mark it. But yes, I know it is embarrassing. It's like, George, did you fart, dude? I don't know. It's starting to smell like egg around here. Is that a demon or?
They're called paranormal posts, Maddie. They're called paranormal posts. How many times do I got to tell you that? Paranormal posts.
Oh yes, paranormal. Yeah, paranormal. What's up, Debbie? Hi, Mama. Welcome.
Do you guys watch Saturday Night Live at all?
I haven't watched the newer ones. What are they up to now?
They I don't know what season in, but I was on YouTube because Connie LaFave showed it to me, where they had Hugh Laurie on as a psychic, and they're doing an investigation, and they're showing what it's like to be paranormal investigators. And they're like, you got the skeptic, you got this person who's this and that. And he walks into the room and he lets one loose and he's like, oh, I think we need to go into the other room. And they're like, I don't know. I'm hearing a voice. And then they're like, goes, wait, did you hear that sound when he let it loose? And he's like, yes, we definitely got to go in the other room. And they're like, no, we got to play that back. I think it was a voice talking to us. And so then they go and they replay it. And he's like, wait, can you replay it again? I think it's saying this. And so they're constantly replaying it. And he's sitting there going, can we please just leave the room? And then someone goes, we need to put it in slow motion because I really think there's a voice there. So it's like hilarious. And then they go, wait, if we come and stand over by him, there's a sulfur smell. It's like a demonic presence over here.
I told you.
And then it's like they go and they look at the Fleer and go, did you get it on Fleer? He goes, yeah. And she goes, look, there's a spirit exiting the body there. And then he finally goes, look, it's recorded. Okay? Did you have to make a big deal out of it? And he storms off, and they're in there, and all of a sudden you hear this voice go, hi, it's Jolene. And they're like, okay, we got to go.
That's hilarious.
But Hugh Laurie, that's House, right?
Yeah.
That's House. So I can imagine him doing that, and he seems like real sophisticated.
Okay, so I got to ask: was he speaking in American accent or British accent?
I think he was in an American accent.
Because he's British.
He is.
Yeah, that's crazy. But he does such a great American accent. So, but I had to ask just for the sake of asking.
Yeah.
What's up, Anthony? Hey, Julian.
Yeah, I think it was.
That's hilarious.
But I ended up putting it on my Facebook page because I just was like, that is just so hilarious.
Hey, Adriana.
Adriana, how are you, man? Man, I don't know where I was going. I just drew a blank, man. I just drew a blank.
Yeah, I figured that story would probably derail anything for a little while.
What it was I was going to admit truths, but I don't know if I should. Oh my goodness!
Hijo, George.
I know. I'm so bad. I'm not bad.
So,
I'm just
have you reviewed any of the evidence that you were trying to capture out there?
I haven't reviewed it fully yet, and in all honesty, I have some coursework I got to finish up first, so it may be a couple weeks before I get to it.
Right. Yeah, man, I get it. It's very time consuming, but when it's worth it, when you find something and it's like, shit, did you hear that? You know?
Yeah. We reviewed some of it on site, like when thought we were hearing some things, and so I have that in the footage, the reviewing, and was talking about what we're hearing. But yeah, I mean, it was just incredible to just walk on the footsteps on that ship and just being like, man. And at one point we were like, did you guys get to meet the president? And I think a K2 meter like slightly lit up, and we're like, oh, that is so lucky.
Right. That is cool because you kind of got that response, and then you're like, all right, we made contact. And then they got to meet the president.
I know.
How badass would that be, man? We got to meet the president.
Yeah, but I will say investigating those like historic warships, the vessels, I kind of like going on those investigations more than some buildings because you have a very finite personnel that would be allowed on there or in the area. So you don't really have to sit there and go, are we talking to a kid? Are we talking to a woman? Are we talking to a man? It's like, we're talking to a soldier, period. Was there women, men on board? It was like, so were there officers and soldiers around? It's like everything is so fine tuned that it's like, yeah, you don't have to worry about how do I ask this question? It's like, you're talking to soldiers, just be point blank.
Right.
You know where to direct it and the audience you're directing it to. So yeah, I never thought of that. I never thought about that.
Yeah. And with it being like World War II era vessels, it was like, yeah, you knew the soldiers would be men. Women weren't serving yet.
Right.
So you're not likely going to come across a female spirit there.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, we were like, point blank, were you an officer here? Were you a soldier in this area? Was this your station? It was like finite questions to where it's like easily yes and no, and not, so who are we talking to?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
George, when you went out there, did you get any good evidence? I'm sorry, I'm by the highway, guys.
I was like,
Did you
go
get
ahead, go ahead.
any good evidence on the Lexington?
Oh yeah, I got great evidence. I got
Lexington is very haunted.
yeah, it's very haunted. Okay, you know the okay, have you been on the Lexington before, Michael?
I haven't, but I've read a lot of the stories and I've seen a lot of the paranormal shows that go there.
Oh yeah. Okay, so when we get done, I want your email, sir, because I got the original blueprints from when they converted it to a from a from a destroyer to an aircraft carrier. And so one time once we're done, and anybody shoot me your email and I'll send it to anybody who wants them.
There you go. I sent it to you in the private chat.
Okay. But as far as the evidence, man, I mean, man, we got, like, I wasn't even really video. I had the camera on, but I was holding it at my side. And I was walking and I was talking to this girl and we were just BSing. We were moving from the engine room to somewhere else. And you hear somebody, just really like a loud, those loud whispers?
Oh, yeah.
You hear somebody go, have a seat. Have a seat. And it's clear, but it's a whisper, but it's that loud whisper.
Yeah.
And we went to, if you're familiar with the head that got blown up, they got hit by I don't know if it was a bomb or what exactly got hit by, but we caught we didn't catch it. I saw it. So it's a personal experience. It's not really evidence, but this light. We were standing there. It was pitch black, and there were lights on. Little lights. But this, I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was a red light. It just really bright, and then goes away. And I walked over there real fast, and I lit it up with my flashlight, and there was nothing there. It was just a wall. There was no reason for the light to be there. I was like, what the hell was that? But EVPs, yeah, you're going to get EVPs, absolutely. But I will tell you this, and you know this, and Maddie, you know this as well, is you got to go at it from a place of respect, man. These people give their lives for their country, so anytime we were talking from that place of respect, like, thank you for the job you did. I know you gave it you gave it everything, and just thank you for that. But yeah, I got a bunch of EVPs from that place, and a very clear, they wanted you to know what they wanted you to know. Like I'm military. There's no effing around. This is what I want to say. You know what I mean? That kind of deal. But yeah.
And like you're saying, like we would start like on the steward, and the first thing we were saying was like, thank you to the soldiers and officers for paying the ultimate sacrifice.
Yes.
And for your sacrifice, because they didn't necessarily, die. They could have came back. But it was still a sacrifice that they were away from their families. Sure. So it's like we were honoring both of you being away from your family and you if you were unable to return. Yeah,
that's awesome. Because let me tell you, if I would have heard anybody bad mouthing, me and that sumbitch, we'd have had words.
Yeah,
we'd have had words in a fucking New York minute. I mean, that son of a bitch. I mean, I would have been like, dude, you had to.
So, you're crazy, George. Want to be fighting on the ghost ship and everything?
Yeah. Why not?
Michael, was there anywhere else? Did you go to Jefferson with Adam and the crew?
I did not. The last time they were there, I was doing coursework, and so I stayed here and I heard about what they were doing and the stuff that they were experiencing, and I'm looking forward to back there. And we did a investigation with Stephen and Catherine, who won an investigation with Carl and I the following weekend from when they were in Jefferson over at Fort Walters military base. And that night was really cool because Stephen showed us how to do the human pendulum experiment. We got to do a dueling dowsing rod and Estes method with Chelsea the doll, which was really cool. He calls it double Estes. I call it dueling because, you got two people and they may not always be saying the same thing. So I view it as they're dueling to see who's talking for who.
Yeah.
I told him it sounds more fun when you put the word dueling instead of double.
And for the people who don't know the human pendulum, you got to see that in action, yeah?
I actually was the human pendulum.
Oh, tell us all, if you can, if you want to.
So what it is you go into a space where you're borderline trance state, borderline present. You're basically opening yourself up to saying whoever needs to communicate can communicate through me. Only until this is done, and then you have to leave. And so for protection, because how a pendulum works is it either goes forward or backwards to answer the question. So like forward could be yes, leaning back would be no. So you don't get hurt. You have a person standing at your face to push you back when you start going forward, and to catch you if you start leaning back, to kind of keep you from falling back. And you actually have two people on your sides as well. So in case when you come out, you start stumbling, they can grab you and, help you get re-grounded and sorted. But we had Stephen was asking questions and some other people were asking questions. And the cool thing about it was because you can hear the questions, all you're doing is closing your eyes as the pendulum. And it's like, I would start to lean forward because I'm like, I know what the question is. And then the question would take a turn, and all of a sudden, without, any force, like I'm still trying to push forward to go yes. And they're like, no, this is a no. I could not push forward. It like literally stopped me, and I started going back. There was no way. Spirit was like, yeah, you're not communicating for us. We want to say no. You're saying no. You got yourself muted, Maddie.
Muted.
That is crazy. Did you feel yourself was it like a tingling in your chest, or was it just the swaying?
Actually, I felt a slight sway, but everybody said I really was swaying. Like, I felt like maybe I was leaning a little bit forward, and they're like, no, you were really forward. Or I'd be like, I slightly went back. And they're like, no, that's like you have no frame of reference because your like eyes are closed for a while. So it's like you have no bearings. So it's like, I mean, to be honest, I couldn't even tell you from where I was standing how to walk forward, backwards, because I had my eyes closed for so long that it's like, I'm like, I have no idea where I am right now. So that's the cool part.
What part of the place did you try out that experiment?
It's a place called the poker. We call it the poker room in the PX building. It's a area that's dedicated to the Old West, and
yeah, was it like cowboys?
It was cowboys, and we had a Native American come through, a cavalry officer came through, and it was interesting because we had somebody else then try it, and we got I think the corner, if I'm not mistaken. Carla will probably correct me if I was wrong, but I think we had the corner come in and talk a little bit, and so you never know who's coming through. But we were very clear, though. The intention was you could use us to communicate, but that's where it ended, and you could not attach.
Right. And we've been there, me and George, and that's where I met Carla. And oh, I love Carla. She's so sweet. She's awesome. And Adam introduced us to Carla there. So, what made you choose that room? Because I know there's a lot of different rooms. It's like a maze.
It is a maze.
What made you choose that one?
For me personally, because it was close to the Chelsea doll and it's close to where I've had other experiences when I'm there. But in reality, it was a spot where we could form a circle around somebody, and there was enough room that nobody was like literally on top of each other. So it was like a corner that we could easily do the experiment without people getting like, oh, is he leaning back? I can't tell because the person's already like pushing off because you're on top of each other. So that was the main reason we picked it. It was enough space.
And that's such a cool place. Like I said, it's like it is a maze, right? So there was so many little nooks and crannies, and it's like, oh, where to begin? And we caught a couple of not EMFs, a couple of EVPs. Yeah, George.
Yeah, we caught a somebody. I don't remember if it was if it said it sounded like a German accent saying Adam's name.
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah, and we also we caught quite a few EVPs. I caught like a really thick Hispanic accent in the building behind.
The bank building.
Is that the main building? The one that's further back?
We call that one the bank building because there's a vault in it.
That's where the bank building, and that's the thing. We were doing work there in the vault, and Adam was saying that the vault doesn't close all the way, and I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was very thick Hispanic accent, man, and it was very like cholo, very you know. I don't know how to put it. Just cholo, like a real gangster sounding. I guess I don't know. But
so I'll give you guys some history to the Fort Walters, and it's gonna blow your guys' minds. So in the 1700s was the conquistador time frame where they're walking through, interacting with the natives, and then you had the 1800s, the Indian Wars were there in that area. Not to mention, the fight for independence further south, but the area where Fort Walters was, I believe, part of the Red River campaign. And that was a huge Indian battle. And then come the 1900s, it becomes Camp Walter. Or not Camp, Camp Walters. Then World War II started, and it became Fort Walters. Or wait, no, it's still Camp Walters, but it was a German POW camp. So that's where your German spirit came from. So they were actually kept there across from the PX building and across the street. And you had the two highest honored soldiers and the most decorated soldier trained there. And you also had the last person hanged for desertion was trained there, being the worst criminal, Eddie. And then come Vietnam, it became Fort Walters, where all the helicopter pilots were trained, and they built the Beach Army Hospital to support the families. And so you had all of that training. So that can explain why you had the Hispanic, you had the German.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of explanations there. You know what I find crazy about that place is that you can buy some of that property. People have bought
Oh, yeah.
buildings on that property and have moved in or started businesses there or just whatever. I don't know, man. I mean, that place, when we went, I was like, this place is pretty badass.
Yeah, because there was like a church in there, right? Like,
Yep.
yeah, further down in like a little trailer park or something. I don't know.
And the barracks are still there.
Yeah. Yeah, and the church is still a very active. I mean, they have church on Sunday, you know,
Yep.
service on Sunday, and we went down there. We were driving around what is it, the hospital,
Right.
Right.
and that place was creepy AF, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you just looking at it, it's like,
Yeah, I gave you the.
yeah,
And we were there in the daytime. Could you imagine at night?
yeah, we were there at daytime.
I actually got to finally investigate the Beach Army, and it
Oh,
was
wow.
the last night anybody could investigate the Beach Army because they shut it down. And I was like, oh, man. I was like, I didn't know it was going to be the last night when I was there, so I was kind of wishing I had documented it more. But I was like, man, that was cool, though, to be there for the last. And it's a really cool hospital.
That is an awesome honor.
Yeah. Yeah, that hospital was pretty badass.
Yep, Carla was there that night.
That's
And
badass.
why did they close it?
They closed it because there's too many people were breaking in and getting hurt, and so
Liability and all that.
all the liability and to bring it up to code is too expensive. So they were like, yeah, we can't have anything. And and then after the incident at the Nazareth, then they started enforcing the fire code more, and they were like, yeah, if buildings aren't up to code, you can't bring people in. So quite a few spots took a hit.
That's wild.
That's sad, man. That's really, really sad.
I was there the night that the last investigation of the Nazareth took place.
Were you?
I was, and that night was the craziest night because we were doing a paranormal 101 type investigation where we were taking a bunch of people that never investigated and teaching them how to use the equipment, how to walking them through, and we were on radios. And the couple that were hosting it, Potter Paranormal, Ken Potter is a nurse. So everybody was like, if anything happens, radio Ken, everything will be fine, no big deal. And we got a call of emergency, and Ken wasn't responding, and it was starting to freak us out because we were like, why isn't Ken responding? What's going on? To find out he was the emergency, and he passed away in the building, and paramedics had a hard time getting up to him because the stairwell was so tight that they were like, okay, this isn't fire code appropriate, so you don't have working elevators, we got to shut it down. And it was like, wow. But after that night, it was like, I think 2 months before I went on another paranormal investigation.
That's wild.
That sounds a little traumatic. That's crazy.
Yeah, it definitely was an impact because I was like, man, I was like, I don't know if I can do this now because I like, you always hear, we take our lives in our hands going to these locations,
Yes,
we
we
don't know
do.
what's going to happen. And it was like, wow, you never expected that. So that just really took an emotional, like, strike back and going, okay, do I really want to do this? Is this something I'm really prepared to put myself through and cause this to other people? And so, yeah. And I see Carla telling me about, oh, okay, I know what she's talking about now. I was going to say I told them about the dowsing rods, Carla, but no, so I'll kind of shorten it because it's it was an emotional night for us. But in January, we had Eileen Potter with us, Ken's wife, and we were doing a dowsing rod session in the adult room area, the kids' room, and we're sitting on the beds, and Eileen's trying the dowsing rods, and they're not really responding. So she hands them to Carla, and then Carla's asking, like, "Is there a spirit here?" And it starts, and it answers her yes. And we're like, "Is it who we think it is?" And it goes, "Yes." And it goes, "Who are you here for?" And both rods turn and point to Eileen. And we're like, "Is this who we?" And we're like, "Yep." And so we ended up actually talking with him.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
And we were asking all kinds of questions like, "Are aliens real?" And he's like, "Yes." And we're like, "Are they among us?" "Yes." And so, and then we asked a lot of personal questions, and
To make
he
sure it
was
was him.
answering those. And one of the questions I asked him, like, almost dropped me to my knees there, was he had set me aside and said, "We want you to join us and do the Paranormal 101 because we feel you have a lot to offer the paranormal." And I'm like, "I'm so new. I don't know how all this works." He goes, "Don't worry about it." And even the night of his incident, he was like telling me, "Don't worry if you mess up. We're on the radio. It's okay. You got this." And so then I was like, I was asking him, and on that night I said, "So I'm living up to the potential that you saw in me?" And he goes, "Yes." And I was like,
Oh,
"Thank you."
oh
I'm
my
even getting tears right
gosh!
now.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I was like, man, that just hit us that session, and we were like, we ended up taking like a 5-10 minute break, and then we went and did the experiments. But yeah, it was like, wow, it was. And to be honest, we haven't really posted that dowsing rod session because we're like, it was more for Eileen, so we're like, we're slowly getting around to going, "Hey Eileen, do you mind if we
Yeah.
post this?"
Right.
But I haven't talked to her yet about it, and so I'm like, I'm not posting it yet.
Right.
Man, that's quite a story, dude. And how you
Yeah,
lived it, you and Carla and all your crew. Oh my God!
yeah, we had a medium there too, and she was like going, like, wow. And so many people that never even had met him, and they were still feeling it. So it was like, man, yeah.
Ugh, I would have been crying too, girl. Because Carla said there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
No,
Woof.
Wow. That's wild.
but to sidestep it though, talking about EVPs and stuff with the Navy ships, when we were on the Kavala, the sub, one of the Kling brothers came down the ladder and he goes, "Who just whistled?" And he goes, "What?" And we're all like, "Nobody whistled." And he goes, "I just heard like a ship's whistle." And we were like, there's no ships whistling and nobody's whistling. And so we were like, all right, what are we walking into?
But that's amazing though. Did that happen like as soon as y'all got there, like it was welcoming y'all, or it was during the investigation?
It was during the investigation, and I think one or two groups had went in before we did. So it was one of those because it was an event. You know, you kind of went in groups and ships.
Yeah. Yeah. Did did y'all just hear a whistle? No bullshitting?
No.
No,
Okay. Then it's gotta be me.
Your nose?
I don't know. Maybe. That or I just, no, yeah, yeah,
paranormal whistle coming out over there.
yeah, exactly. I was gonna ask, God, now I just lost my train of thought. Um,
Well, I am looking forward to my next investigation, which is with you guys and Myrtles.
yes.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can't wait. One, it's gonna be freaking awesome. Two, we get to meet all you awesome people. That's gonna
Yes.
be so
Yeah.
cool
I know, and
in person.
I'm
Ah,
trying to figure out how you guys were at the PX and I didn't know about it.
Oh,
I'm like always over there.
yeah. When did we go? Last year? Was it last summer?
yeah, it was just about. Let me see. Let me pull up a couple of pictures here and
And
see.
we were there with Annette King. She's the one who set it up, and she
May
was
8th,
saying May 8th.
of
She was
2020.
saying that the grounds are haunted as well.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
Yeah,
so May 8th, I think I was in Ballinger doing Old Park. I think that was trifecta weekend.
Carter was there, wasn't she? That
Yeah,
was when we met her. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
she
when we
said we
met her.
were there with you.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yes,
yeah.
Carla, not me. We've established that.
you guys, man, brother and sister. I know you're
What,
not.
No,
what,
we act like it though.
what are you? What are you? Have you done any research on the Myrtles or anything like that? Have an idea of where you want to go check out first, or anything?
To be honest, the only thing right now I've figured out about the Myrtles is the um, Deathwalker episode, to where they had the one closet that was where they said the kid hangs out, and then somebody told me a story about one of the owners was outside and there was a hanging going on, and they shot him and he crawled to the 17th step and died on the 17th step. But yeah, and so it's some, I think they were talking about too, there's a separate building out there where something happened as well, that I think somebody was killed or something, but I haven't like researched it, like really delved in, but I somewhat, the only research I like to know is how old the property is. So I know, was it around in the Civil War, Revolutionary War, War of 1812? So if like a spirit of a soldier comes through, I'm like, okay, so which war were you in? And I don't go, were you in the American Revolution and the house was built in, say, 1860? And it's like, why would there be a revolutionary soldier here? There was no activity over here. So let me,
Yeah, you want to know who you're talking to, who to
right.
address, and what kind. Yeah, I mean, that's really smart because I don't think of things like that. I'm just like, I want to go see what happens. But that's really smart. And like
Yeah.
you said, like well, both of y'all were saying, it's a respectful thing. And
Well, I
uh-huh.
kind of like to know the claims too, because that way, when I'm in that area, I can kind of keep an eye on and be like, okay, so if I see movement over here, I'm like, okay, is it that spirit? And I don't sit there and go, okay, yeah, I just totally just seen something, or am I going nuts?
Right.
So it like helps me to focus in and going, okay, did I really see that? Okay, that's could be so and so. And so it's like I naturally will go, okay, and engage it instead of if it was like when an area where no claims have been being like, well, nothing's over here, so probably was a trick of the eye, and I'll dismiss it more likely.
Right, because you know what you're looking for, you know where to look for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Maddie and I, we have a little bit of a plan. So we have a plan, if you will.
Well, actually, Carla and I have a plan too.
Woo!
Is so.
Good night, Carla. Love ya.
Good night, Carla. I'm gonna kind of spill a little, Carla, so you can hit me later. But so, as you guys know, I have two podcast shows that I'm a part of.
Right.
And I host one with Carla, The Energy That Surrounds Us, on Tuesday nights. And in June, what we're doing is on some of the episodes, we're going to take locations like one is Myrtle's. And we're going to discuss what techniques were used and, you know, why we used them there and what experiences we had during the investigation. And one of the things we were hoping is, like, you know, Maddie is going to be there, and she's been on our show, or will be on the show on the March 7th. Adam, you know, we're hoping may come on and have you guys on with us to help talk about what experiments were done, why we chose those, what experiences we had, and have a whole episode based on that location.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so
that'd be badass.
Yeah.
That would definitely be badass.
Yeah, and you know, I'd invite you, George, but you know, somebody doesn't send me a friend request, so I can't like hook them up with stuff.
You're the second person that's told me that, and I'm like, I'm gonna be very honest. Like I tell everybody, I am very rarely on Facebook.
So I know. I just like the tease.
So what? Okay, so what we're planning is Maddie's got this big hat, like a southern belle. Okay, and I've got my corncob pipe, and we're gonna smoke my corncob pipe on the porch and drink
do some role playing.
Yeah, drink
Why I declare.
Right.
Damn, she does that accent well.
No, like, Miss Maddie, is it hotter than the depths of hell out here? Just kind of roll it and see what happens.
Make sure I'm there because I gotta film this because I'm like, man,
it's hotter than the pit of Hades.
How many southern twang sayings we can throw out there?
Oh yeah. I'll even, man, I'll put out some foghorn leghorn, man. That boy's about as smart as a bowling ball. You know, yeah, man, whatever. But yeah, just sit there and smoke my pipe. Yeah, smoke my pipe and just talk all kinds of smack.
What you got in that pipe, George?
Oh, I've got something special going on.
He said foghorn leghorn.
Don't you worry about this. What's going on in this pipe?
Good night, Adam.
Yeah, good night, Adam.
Good night, Adam. Good night, Adam. Yeah, but we're, just try it. Because, like that right there, like me and Maddie were doing, we can do that for hours.
Oh,
I think we did that most of the way going up to Mineral Well.
Yes.
Maddie. can you change the music there if you could, if you'd be so kind? You know? But yeah, try some of that, and then yeah, just enjoy. Matter was talking about mint juleps or iced tea or
Sorry,
something.
I was reading Kimmy's comment.
Iced tea on the porch.
Yeah.
Hotter
I
than
would
a
love, Maddie, you
stripper
do
at the
that.
club.
You read that comment in that southern accent.
Yeah, yeah. Here,
Oh,
I'll do it right
Georgia,
now. Here,
that is hotter than
hot
a
milk.
stripper at the club.
Yes. Oh goodness. It's hotter than a stripper at the club.
And I ain't just whistling Dixie.
Oh
With
man,
the-
she just sealed it there.
Wow. That's
No, but
a
it's gonna be the bomb. It's gonna be so much fun, and hopefully we get to meet up before then as well. I know we're gonna go out there, leaving Friday, and stopping at some point, and then
Yeah,
leaving the next morning.
I'm traveling up with Carla and Tony. We're coming up on Friday,
Yes.
nice.
so I think they have a place we're stopping off at, and then be there Saturday, and then
I don't know if any of the accents I pull are from Louisiana or Alabama or Mississippi or wherever. I don't know where they're from.
so George, I'm gonna help you out. It's not Alabama. It's just Bama.
It's just Bama. Bama.
Louisiana, Bama,
So much fun.
Georgia.
Georgia.
The fun one is, so if you do the southern accent is the Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Mississippi. Was the Go Bulldogs? Where is that?
That's Georgia.
That's Georgia. I was watching Midnight. We were watching Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Have you seen that movie? That movie's hilarious.
It's been a while, but yeah, I've seen it.
That and that Go Bulldogs.
George.
That's hilarious.
No, but it's gonna be so much fun. I think we're all gonna have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
We may not catch any ghosts, but we're gonna have a good time trying.
Yeah.
I do declare.
I don't know about catching ghosts because I ain't a Ghostbuster, but you know, I'm sure we'll party with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
Walk in and like throw the door open like I have arrived.
I think though it would be funny as hell to do an investigation, and everybody does like cosplay where we're the Ghostbusters and wearing proton packs and go, we're here to investigate. Everybody got your EVP detectors ready.
Right.
Like, yeah, this will be interesting.
You know, you want to hear something funny? Is that there's a place that I've been to, and every time I go, somebody had turned their Ford Escape into a small Ecto One, and it's not a good job, but God bless you, man. God bless you for the attempt. You know,
Yeah.
It shows your true self, and I believe that.
Why are you talking about my car like that, Georgie?
Well, you know, because it's a good.
No, but thank you so much for being on, Michael. It's always awesome. We had so much fun the last time, even better this time. I love hearing your stories. You have stories for days, man.
I do.
So you know what that means, right? You gotta come back on.
Anytime.
Hopefully. I mean, you don't got to, but I would hope you would.
Oh, I'll gladly come on anytime.
Awesome.
Maybe next time Carla will actually show up too.
We'll send an invite all around.
All around.
Thank you, Kimmy. Thank you guys for watching. We love you. Good night. Positive vibes.
Love, peace, and chicken goose.
Georgie.
Good night.